Hello, everyone. Good late morning, good afternoon, good time of day, whenever you're getting this with us. It's good to see y'all. I'm Nick Paro, not your dad, joined by my good friend, Dr. Eric Lullove, contributing medical editor at Blue Amp Media. Good dude, got some things to say. Welcome y'all to the Diogenes Club here on Sick of This Shit Publications with just Eric and I again this week. Like I said last week, we're probably going to be Evan-less for a little while. He's got some stuff going on, and he's taking care of it on his own side.
Love you, Evan.
We love you, Evan. We hope you're doing well, brother. I love seeing the writing that you're still doing and coming out with, and we miss you, dude. We miss you, man. We hope to have you back when you're able to.
Nick and I are just gonna have to man the fort.
Yeah, we're gonna hold down the fort.
We're not gonna jump ship like what's happening on the Abraham Lincoln.
No, oh yeah, like holy.
How do you like that? How do you like that segue?
That was a good segue, man. Like, yeah. So if y'all haven't heard, the service members, the sailors, the Marines, there are really bad issues going on the Abraham Lincoln. We're here today, before we get into that, we're here today to talk about a system meant to harm, which we're going to be getting into because there's some systemic harm that we all have been seeing that's going on in lots of areas, but we'll be focusing on the vaccine side and the vaccine mandate executive order that came out at the beginning of the week. But let's touch on the USS Abraham Lincoln and what's going on there. They have been at sea for over
250 days,
250 plus days at this point since Guam. They have not returned to port. They have not returned home. They have no return date set for the Abraham Lincoln. They are not getting service member rotation. There have been reports now for a while, for a couple months, coming out that there are major food shortages and ration shortages and supply shortages on the Abraham Lincoln. That
this is a major nuclear U.S. carrier.
This is the flagship
major battle group we're talking about.
Like this is a flagship carrier group.
Right. This is a 3-star admiral that sits on this thing.
And they have been at sea for over 250 days. And now, beginning this week, there are reports coming out in larger networks about the mental health crisis that is going on board, because they're stuck at sea. They have no return date. They don't know when they're coming back. They don't get mail regularly. They don't have rations. And at least 6 service members tried to jump overboard.
So just to give everybody some pause here, just to kind of understand, like, it's literally like a little mini village. The USS Abraham Lincoln, as our other carriers of the same class, the Ford, it's all the Ford class carriers. That's what this is. It's the Ford class carriers. They're all named after former presidents, which is how we do our USS carriers now. There are 5,000 sailors and service people. They are, and this is according to 2 military papers that Nick and I both follow, the Navy Times and the Stars and Stripes. Not fake news. Okay, it's the Navy Times and the Stars and Stripes are reporting that there are multiple attempts by sailors to jump overboard as the poor conditions and mental stresses on the Lincoln are reaching its breaking point. The crew in its 9th month has now spent 250 consecutive days at sea, which is a record for an aircraft in modern times. The normal rotation for an aircraft carrier is 180 days, maximum. Right? They're already like at 120, 140. They're already sailing back home. Like they're not spending a lot of time in theater. The home base of the carrier is San Diego. So we're talking about being deployed into the Middle East, which really falls under Atlantic Command, not Pacific Fleet Command. So that's how messed up this entire I apologize. My video is a little squirrely, guys. Hopefully my audio is coming through okay. And then, but the family's worries have been expressed to Navy leadership, to the acting Navy, again, another acting secretary of the Navy, Hung Kao, that the Navy has broken trust between the leadership and the families, and that the Navy Times has given details of thwarted suicide attempts upon the carrier during the current deployment. So, what this actually means, Nick, and as a veteran, I know this hits you really hard, and it's very personal for you. That there's going to be an increase of alcoholism, domestic violence, self harm. I mean, we're going to see these things popping up more and more when this ship gets back to port.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're going to see this is like kind of era of what happened post Vietnam with the lack of care, the lack of, and remember, this government and this administration has cut VA funds for mental health services. God knows what these sailors are going to be doing, and it's to the point now where like the enlisted personnel are not trusting the officers. And once you have that, you start getting the breakdown of the hierarchy of leadership and orders and command control and operational stewardships, and it's just really sad that our soldiers and our sailors have to endure this because of vanity war.
Yes, this was totally avoidable, this entire situation. But also, these service members should have been home months ago. And the Navy, if you're in the Navy, I was not. I have a cousin who is in the Navy. They do 6-month rotations. You go 6 months out, you come 6 months back in. Like, there is a schedule. There is a set number of days and a rotation length that you have. And to answer the question in the chat from our friend Jay earlier, it is a very dangerous thing to jump overboard from a vessel. It is a way to commit suicide, or it is a way to get really vast attention to what is going on because you need help. It is also considered a dereliction of your duties because you are abandoning your post and you are leaving the vessel without permission. So there are consequences on a UCMJ and a legal side for the military code of the Uniform Code of Military Justice and how they handle these things. But this is a disabling effect of war that was preventable. We're going to look back in a couple months to a couple years and wish we were back to 19 a day for veterans or whatever it is. We're going to look back and go, fuck, we could have done and we needed to do something different. And I think
I want everybody to understand, like, these are the situations what they are living in. This is what's being reported. So imagine this is our naval personnel. Muddy showers, broken toilets, laundry's down for weeks, long stretches with no hot water, meal that came down to half a cup of rice and 2 tortillas, no soap, undercooked food, no soap, no deodorant, no toothpaste. Now, for those of you that are not aware of what life is like on a carrier, there's no air conditioning, and they're in the middle of the Persian Gulf, in the middle of the summer.
That's how you spread communicable diseases. Like the fact that you cannot do basic care for yourself and for those around you is how service members get sick and die. And I'm looking on ground news right now about some additional reporting on this. Is now senators are demanding an inquiry into the conditions aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln, which is good. This needed to happen
Congressman
months ago. Senator Blumenthal has demanded the Navy account for conditions aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln, which, quote, has been deployed for more than 250 days, end quote, without coming ashore in over 200 days. They have been on that ship.
Yeah. 2 days on land. That's it.
They have been,
and then 1 day in Oman.
They have been on that ship for 200 days, setting a consecutive days at sea record. That's not a good thing.
Nope.
That is terrible. And when the families are coming and demanding from the Secretary of the Navy, what the fuck are you doing? What is happening to our service member? There's a problem. Senator Ruben Gallego, like him or not, at least in this case, is calling for an official oversight visit to investigate reported alarming conditions with the USS Abraham Lincoln.
And Congressman Crow has been inquiring as well. And so this is the response from the administration, everybody. Okay.
Pete Hegseth said it was a lie.
More fake news, quote unquote. I'm trying to figure out here's the other. Okay. So Congressman Crow has stated that the strain on the service members and their families on the Lincoln is building week by week. I think Levin, who is Mike Levin, a Democratic congressman from California, like I said, he's the one that was basically he put this on Twitter actually. So he responded to the secretary's statement by stating that, quote, these men and women signed up to serve their country. The least their country owes them is hot water, a working toilet, and a real meal. Hegseth cannot even manage that, and he has the nerve to look the families in the eye and call them liars. And then an official from the Defense Department, who is not quoted, who is not named, quote, based on the information available to the command, we have not identified an increase in reported suicidal ideation or suicide attempts aboard the ship. So who's lying? The Navy Times, Stars and Stripes, or the Secretary's office and the Defense Department?
And Stars and Stripes is not a liberal-leaning outlet.
No.
Stars and Stripes is a military outlet.
It's censored. It's censored media. So if they're allowing this stuff to get out, it's legit.
Yeah, Stars and Stripes are meant for service members, and it is center right at best most often. The way they lean the writing tends to be more right wing than center or progressive in any way. And if they're saying something about this, there's a fucking problem. Like, there is a big problem, and it's going, and this is intentional to harm these service members. Like, this is being done intentionally to keep them at sea this long. It is an intentional choice to keep a vessel out of port for this fucking long. There are other carrier groups. There are other service members who could be rotated in to relieve these service members. When we deployed, we got an end date to our fucking deployment. That's part of your orders, is you go and you can be extended, but it's voluntary extension for most. There is a choice to extend your deployments. These service members are not being given that choice. So they're on an open-ended deployment, and that's not okay.
So here's the thing. There is a direct relation to high-stress technical experience and high-stress operations in the U.S. military to suicide rates. The Marine Corps has the highest rate of any of the divisions. It's about 31 per 100,000. The Army is about 28 to 29 per 100,000. The Navy is 21 per 100,000 right now, and the Air Force is about 18 to 19 per 100,000. So out of the 400,000 soldiers in the respective divisions, okay, that's roughly, was that 60? That's almost 100 soldiers. That's a 1% suicide rate when it should be 0.01%. That's 100 soldiers that aren't coming home ever, not due to combat.
Yeah. Due to a fully preventable situation.
I mean,
This never should have
sir,
happened.
how long do you think you would have lasted if you couldn't have gotten a hot shower every 5 or 6 days on rotation while you were in service?
Only a couple weeks. Like when my team, while we were downrange, we were there when they closed out one of the FOBs, one of the forward operating bases. We were out at a place called Fob Shank, colloquially known as Rocket City, because we got bombed all the fucking time. All the time. For the last 2 months we were out there, we did not have food service. We ate MREs and the strike packs, the big 2-day.
But at least you had food.
We had food.
Right.
And we had water still. And we had services that we could get to. Our stores ran low, yes. Our shop on the base ran out of goods, and things were closing down, and there was very little. But we knew there was an end date to it. We knew services were there, and we knew people could leave if they needed to. They could be returned to a larger installation. And we knew we were leaving. We knew when we were getting out of there. We knew there was an end to it. But had it just been endless, no food, or MREs and strike packs, which for those who have never eaten those types of things, they are high density calorie based food that is meant to last you 2 days. And there's like 4 options. And
now imagine how you guys would have done if you had been on half ration.
We wouldn't have been able to do our jobs. You can't do your job effectively if you are lacking food, if you are lacking care service of some sort in terms of being able to shower and hygiene. Like hygiene in the military is so vitally important, because if you're not keeping your body clean, you're going to get sick, and then other people are going to get sick, and then you're going to spread communicable diseases. And there's a reason that vaccinations in the military are required, unless you have a life-threatening condition or a spouse that cannot be near you when you are vaccinated and you have a reason not to get a vaccine because it would kill your spouse. I know, because I didn't get the smallpox vaccine because it would have killed my wife had I accidentally given it to her. There is a difference between operational management and just cruelty, and what's going on the Abraham Lincoln, and probably other vessels too, is cruelty. No service member signed up to go to an unending situation where they would never return to their family because there is no end date.
So this is not just unique to the Lincoln. This is the USS Tripoli, which is an amphibious landing. And they had the same thing: restricted supply quantities, logistical delivery backlogs tied to regional combat operations, tight food rationing. And the Ford, as I pretty much said, when the Ford was in the Mediterranean during the whole initial Gaza thing, and it was rerouted into the Persian Gulf before it was returned back home for repairs. But again, parallel quality of life strain, broken plumbing, laundry outages, and high operational tempos.
And high operational tempo means like 14 to 16 to 18-hour days. Like you are on all day. You're getting like 4 or 5 hours of sleep at most. And that's op tempo for most. For anyone deployed, is your day does not end. And you're in a high stress situation. They're in a place where they could get attacked. They're in a high stress situation at all times. So that is not good for your mental health.
So let's dial out 38,000 feet. Okay. So when you start putting what's happening with the Lincoln and you expand and zoom out a little bit, and we talk about systems that are made to harm us. This is an example of this administration's inability to govern appropriately. I mean, this is not like rocket science. This is basic logistics 101. This is having people under your command at the administrative level at the Pentagon, knowing where supplies are, knowing where your S4 officers are for supply, right? And it's basically saying, get this ship dry docked for repair and rotate the crew off. We have other carriers that we can deploy that have not seen this level of deployment time that we need to get the pilots home. I mean, think about the wear and tear on the aircraft on those F-35 and the 22s and the 18s and the, you know, just the level of stress that those aircraft are under with all the sorties that they're flying without proper maintenance and getting that ship back to a naval station.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where, you know, who knows? And this is not even the other stuff that we aren't even hearing about. Yeah. It's on the top secret stuff of like what operational issues are happening because of, you know, pilot fatigue or maintenance. Now, what happens, like, again, high operational tempo with maintenance crews? What happens if they miss or they don't have the right supplies to repair a broken firing system on an F-35? Now you're taking an aircraft out of service.
Mm-hmm.
How is that high operational ability when you're grounding aircraft because you don't have a replacement ship on board?
Or you're falling off the carrier because somebody made a mistake.
Right. Or because they're so tired that they forget to put the netting on, or a catapult goes down, or, you know, the hydraulic systems aren't being flushed on the carrier and they're not rotating out the tanks. You know, it's only a matter of time before something catastrophic happens on the Lincoln.
Yeah. And Jay, I saw your comment in the chat about, do we think that this is possibly a test of how long they can keep service members before a revolt happens? That would be a yes and no at this point, I think. Yes, I think they are testing the limits of how long they can keep a crew at sea before basically mutiny. Because that's really a next step, is at some point somebody will become mutinous and will try and end what is going on for them, because they need to get off that vessel, because they are put into a mental health crisis that says that is the only way out. The families seem to already think that, because the families are meeting with the Secretary of the Navy and going, what the fuck is going on? And that's a problem. The fact that we're even out here talking about this is a problem. It means it has become...
it shouldn't even be anywhere near a conversation. By the way, I unblurred my background, and that seems to have fixed my issue here.
Oh, nice.
So,
yeah, the blurring on like the background effects for Restream are processor heavy, and
so I fixed it. So I'm not so time delayed now, everybody. I don't look like some of the high tech movies where, like, you know, like the Matrix, where I'm like, you see me kind of like, you know, hyperphasing.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about like the effects of the fact that ICE is detaining family members of service members.
Oh, wait a minute. I have my
And
glove. I want to use my gloves now.
oh yeah, and
What do you
they
think?
are now implementing electric shock gloves
Now,
out there.
interestingly enough, it doesn't work through clothing. You need contacting skin, which basically means that these agents are going to have to put their hands on you.
Yes, and they're
Like,
going to kill
okay,
somebody.
now it becomes a probable cause, illegal search, and assault.
And they're going to kill somebody who has a heart condition.
Yeah, they're going to attack
or
you as a pacemaker
as a pacemaker or has some sort of somebody's going to die because of this, and it's going to be a tragedy. And if going back to the system, like that is a direct example of the system that is trying to harm us, is
we could
these slave catchers and neo Confederates out here with shock gloves. It's like them, the old talk, like they used to bring cattle prods and torture prisoners. Like that's exactly what that is. That is exactly what an electroshock glove is. And they're going to hold somebody and kill them.
So what do we call this earlier? Since we can't use the word eugenics.
Oh yeah, this is where we get into our next part of this conversation, because we were talking partially about the health and safety and the use of vaccines.
But just before we get into that, if we go by agency, okay, and we started at the State Department, worked all the way down to the Interior, okay, and we started listing everything that this administration is doing to literally harm the American people. And it doesn't have to be a laundry list of 10 things. I can literally pick out, if we went through each administration, each agency, from state down to interior, right? Agriculture to interior, right? There is one policy that is literally hurting the American population deliberately. Health and Human Services is the easy one to pluck out because you've got a heroin addict running the agency who, thinks he knows science. Okay. Literally have a Defense Department being run by an alcoholic TV game show host, right? Look what they've just done with agriculture.
It's a game to them to destroy it.
With the Forestry Service, with the Department of the Interior, with these wildfires, with the siphoning of all the funds out of, and then, Trump taking $400+ million out of the National Park Service.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Look at the Commerce Department. Look at what Lutnick's doing with the policies in the Commerce Department. Look at what's being done at Treasury. And the lack of a State Department, well, that's hurting us because there's no diplomacy anywhere.
Yeah.
You want me? I can keep going. We can run all the way through. Look at housing, urban development, right? They're not doing anything to alleviate the housing issues.
No,
they ran away from the housing bill, which would have been an easy win for them.
Yeah.
Right. He ran away from that one. What else am I missing? Oh, energy. Look at our energy. Look at energy. Let's keep drilling, baby.
Yeah. Every single agency.
Right. Education.
And Lynette, to answer your question, to go back real quick to the glove discussion, is we have gloves but no body cameras. No, we get both. Agents are going to have to start wearing body cameras. But the problem is, and here's where body cameras become ineffective, is the agency is the means of recording and distribution. They don't have to release any of the body cam footage, and they're not going to unless it benefits the agents. They've already said that. They've already said that part. Like, they are betraying Americans. They're killing Americans. And the next act that we're going to really talk about here is the selective gene discovery and gene suppression.
We call it gene. What was the term I said?
We're So here, I'm going to make it real clear what we're talking about. I had a video that I posted this morning on TikTok
Oh, here we go.
that got a community guideline violation on it because I said the word eugenics, because the vaccine mandate that came out on Monday from Trump and RFK in the executive order is a eugenics practice to break apart these multi-part the MMR vaccine and things like that into single vaccines that we don't do anymore, that are decades old, that are a waste of fucking money.
40 years of evidence and data, by the way.
And it got taken down because I talked about eugenics and I said the word eugenics. And we are trying to find a better way to describe it without having to use that word so that we don't get content violations.
Here's the term that we now have to use so that we don't get thrown off of TikTok and have a terms of service issue. We have to call this gene pool management.
Gene pool reduction.
No, management. Management's better. I like management. Reduction is an indication that it's more eugenics based. But if you say management, now you're talking more esoterically and they can't throw you off. So,
yeah. So the Department of Health and Human Services is now doing gene pool management to restrict and remove access to needed vaccines for children. And it's going to harm not only kids who don't get the vaccine and need it, it's going to harm kids who do get vaccines but no longer have a herd immunity because we don't have enough of it to keep the vaccine from, or keep the virus or bacteria from growing and modifying itself and evolving, because evolution is fucking real. We see it all the time, assholes. We're going to kill people, and then we're going to kill immunocompromised Americans. We're going to kill disabled Americans through it. It's going to kill healthy Americans, because vaccines are important. We had the influenza plague. We had a plague that we won, that we defeated, and got influenza rates down to very, very low, to death rates around influenza, like the Spanish influenza. Like we've done this before.
If anybody look at Nick and see the level of exasperation through the beard, I mean, that's where we're at right now. So I got to give Nick a break here. So like, here's the logistical issues with, because this is obviously in my wheelhouse. So the logistical issues with this executive order that was released 2 days ago. So there, right, like he said, we have no domestic supply. There is no standalone measles, mumps, rubella vaccine that's currently licensed or routinely available in the U.S. Single antigen versions were previously available, like Merck had Attenuvax and I think Mumpsvax and Marivax too. Those products were then discontinued, by the way, in 2009 and 2010. When the combination vaccine became standardized. Okay. So the order tells HHS to develop the availability plan within 90 days, but that doesn't create the supply. So that's the first thing. The second thing is regulatory and manufacturing lead time here. Okay. So when you're trying to reintroduce a single antigen vaccine, it's going to require regulators and the manufacturers to address production, supply, and new submissions for products that have been absent. Because these products no longer exist in the FDA pathway and they've been discontinued, the FDA has to go back and reapprove separate shots, which takes years for those separate vaccines to be tested, licensed, and then clinically studied in the U.S. again. Okay, so this is restarting a discontinued biological production.
Waste, fraud, and abuse.
Here's the other problem. Then you have the sourcing trade-offs. Okay, so this was buried in the bottom of the order, that now allows collaboration with foreign manufacturers. Okay, it raises two tensions in the healthcare industry. One is a faster but more lax testing pathway reintroduces the safety risks that the policy claims to address. And then importing from other countries, the administration has criticized cuts against its America First positioning. Like, really fucking brilliant policy they wrote. right?
It also, yes, we need to be building relations with other nations.
But
And there are
then it says
certain
we're
times
America
when
first.
you
No,
want
do
to
everything here.
keep, there's certain times when you want to keep things in home. Like the ability to
They can't.
influence a vaccine that could turn into a bioweapon because you are allowing a foreign nation to influence your vaccination schedules, you could introduce a bioweapon. I mean,
Oh,
somebody's going to try and
that's gonna get
introduce
thrown out
one
the TikTok plan.
anyway because AI and stuff like that, they're creating new viruses and something's going to get out either on purpose or on accident because some idiot in like West Virginia is going to have the tools enough to make a virus and then they're going to go and spread it and kill a bunch of people.
Well,
But
no, they
we're
don't
not
have
going
to
to,
start. Just
we're going
influence
to
their
like,
local elementary school with measles that's going to be sliced with something else. And
yeah.
because people are unvaccinated, it's going to run right through the communities.
And because viruses and bacteria can evolve and mutate,
And there's no borders, by the way.
and we are going to
They don't have a
create a plague and a mass health crisis. And that is where the selective gene management comes into play.
Gene pool management.
Gene pool management.
It's like calling your local pool guy to come chlorinate to have you drink chlorine. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it's like injecting yourself with bleach or using.
That was a phenomenal policy decision during COVID.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Yeah.
This is the rerun of Trump's greatest hits. You know, that injecting bleach idea sounded good. So maybe if we do gene pool management, that sounds good too. Now, I will say that thank God that the Senate, in their omnibus budget bill, funding the rest of the year, wiped out that OMB decision, that OMB plan to take over research. That was one of the big things that hit last week, that the Senate, in passing their budget to fund the government through the end of the year, wiped out Russell Vought's I'm going to take over all medical research on this MAGA America First platform that we get to decide who gets research money and what grants go out. And if you don't comport with our plan, we're going to not fund you and we're going to basically throw you in jail. So that got wiped out. But we still have other issues on the table, right? We still have to deal with Olmstead and disability codification. And, you know, we have to deal with, everybody, we get to a point where it's all about voting. It's all about your ability to go out and computer screen punch or ticket punch your candidates, right? And this isn't about DSA, Democrat. You got to vote blue, regardless of who wins the primaries, no matter how you feel about it. Okay? You need to be blue.
Or if it's a state where an independent is running in lieu of a Democrat.
Right. I mean, just don't vote for the independent because you can't. You're pro DSA and your DSA candidate didn't win. You're gonna we need to the prize at the end of the day is taking the House and Senate back. That's the prize. These ideological arguments everybody wants to have, ideological arguments. We have sailors and naval personnel and military personnel offing themselves because they don't want to do anything more for this government because they're not being taken care of. You have a government who wants to off the disability community because they're a line item exemption expense line on a spreadsheet. You want an administration that wants to wipe out the Medicare population so they can privatize and push everything into Medicare Advantage so that private companies can tell you, oh, we don't have to pay for that MRI because you've got potential cancer, so we're not even going to give you a PET scan. We're just going to kill you off because it's going to cost too much money to take care of you. Okay? Or we have an energy secretary and an energy department that says, just keep drilling fossil fuels into protected territories because we don't really need the nature. We don't really need to kill off. We don't need to keep our greenhouse gas emissions low so that we don't have global warming because we don't believe in climate change. We can let everything burn out west because we're going to siphon money from the Forestry Service, so that we're going to take money away from our frontline forestry firefighters and not provide any cover for them. And we're just going to let people lose their homes in Spokane, Washington, because it's a blue state, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's very important that we get Ken Paxton elected in Texas, who's currently in Europe with his girlfriend, not even campaigning, who's been impeached twice, right?
Or Max Miller, who beats his wife.
Beat his ex-wife and tortured his kids. And if it wasn't for the story coming out, Bernie Moreno wouldn't have said jack shit. And Trump still wanting to keep him in the seat, because it's more important that they keep the seat than it is about having a person of character in the seat and having somebody accountable to the people who put him in that seat. Right? This is, I'm sorry, I'm vote splaining right now, or whatever you want to call it. But I listen, we can't. I voted the other day in my early voting for Florida. I voted who I wanted in, regardless of advertising and whatnot. Okay. I don't like all the candidates, but I don't have a choice here. The choice was taken from me in 2022.
The primaries are where we get to disagree on, do we want more liberal, a more progressive, a centrist, a what have you. That's when we do that. And when the vote is done, just like Francesca Hong did in
great job
after she lost,
all four of them, by the way.
She endorsed, all of the candidates have endorsed the Democratic candidate for governor.
And they're doing a tour, by the way.
That is what you're supposed to do, because you're not running against the you're not running against the party at that point. The people decided, whether it be through some sort of manipulation or not, in terms of we're gonna like money going to someone so that they could get less votes elsewhere, whatever it may be. The primary is over. Now they need to win. Now they win. And by getting the candidates who lost to come together and to endorse the winning candidate, that makes a big difference. That's how you win. That's how you keep Wisconsin blue. That's how you keep Minnesota blue. That's how you win in Michigan. That's and keep it blue.
Iowa.
And that's how you win in Arkansas, where we have a Senate candidate, Hallie Schaffner, who could beat Tom Cotton.
Listen, Alexander Vindman has a great chance of beating Ashley Moody. Right?
And the Democrats avoided a potential disaster by not electing DSA candidate Francesca Hong. No, they didn't. Had the people spoken and said she is our candidate, the other candidates would have also probably gotten behind her pretty quickly.
But had she won, had she made a convincing argument, it wouldn't have been where she finished second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Messaging is everything. And while Francesca had a great campaign message on affordability, and I think a lot of the stuff that the DSA pushes, like it's hurtful. People like Thanksgiving. Sorry. Okay. Like, you're not going to get rid of Thanksgiving. It's just, that's like, come on. There's reality here, everybody. I mean, that there's certain things that, but
there's also a lot of fear mongering that happens with things like that.
And AIPAC put a shit ton of money out there. They spent $80 million between Michigan and Wisconsin. Okay. And I mean, I'm not a big AIPAC fan at all. AIPAC, when I was growing up, actually did good stuff way back in the day. Way back. Okay. AIPAC today, evil pack.
Okay? And we talked about that last week.
Just like the America First PAC, just like the the Florida Save PAC, and all these other bullshit PACs that
it's all the PACs.
Right? Most of them, right? Even Blue PAC is still bad PAC.
Like we shouldn't have any PACs.
No, we shouldn't have any. But that's why it was so important that Senator Ossoff came out the other day and wants to put a constitutional amendment to ban Citizens United. Now, I don't think it needs a constitutional amendment, because you're not going to get 35 states to sign off on it, especially those with red governors, right? And you're not going to get 2/3 of the states to pass it. But what you can do is you can get a Congress that has a veto majority a veto-proof majority and can overturn a veto. And you can pass that legislation nationally, like you can pass codifying the Olmstead decisions, and you can recodify Roe. You can restore the Voting Rights Act. You can do all of these things. You can walk and chew gum at the same time, but you have to legislate. You have to go and do the job.
And we have to send people there who are going to go and do the job. And the choice on who we send is through the primary part. And then once you get through the primary and into the general elections,
turnout numbers.
You have to turn out, whether you're mad that your candidate lost or not. If you're happy that your candidate won, good, you're going to go turn out. If you're disappointed that your candidate lost, go encourage them to endorse the winning candidate and make a unified party, because right now we have one goal, is to end a regime that is two goals. But the first goal is to end the regime that is harming people on purpose. Harming the American people is a threat and is an active terror group against the American people. We are living through a tyrannical government, and the safest way to do a revolution is through our voting right, is to revolutionize who we put in there. And once we have a veto-proof majority, which is what we would need to actually get anything done, is use the power that you are then granted.
Right. We've talked about this I've talked about it with Cliff on Blue Amp, that we need the magic number for the Senate to get started is 52.
Because Fetterman's going to jump ship.
Fetterman's jumping. Okay. So we need 52. If it's 51-49, we're screwed. Okay. If it's 49-49, we're screwed. Because remember, McConnell's not coming back, so they're down one Senate seat. So there's only 99 Senate seats available. So it's going to be, we need to get to 52. If we can get to 54 or 55, that's even better. Because remember, in 2028, the Republicans are going to have to defend more Senate seats than the Democrats. So remember, everybody, how this works. I've posted this before. There are 435 House seats. Okay. Those are up for election every 2 years. Everybody's up for election at the same time. The Senate every 2 years is 1/3. So 1/3 of the Senate seats every 2 years is vulnerable. So that's how the Senate flips. It's not all done at the same time. And it was done that way so that there would be continuity of legislative ability in the Senate. I know what I just said is a real oxymoron right now, but okay.
Yeah, because there's no legislative ability in the Senate right now.
I saw the wheels in Nick's brain starting to twist.
I was like, you said continuity and legislative in a sentence, and I was like, I understand those words, but they don't go well together right now.
I put up a post, I think yesterday, it was like, I just want normal, boring government. Like, I think we're all tired of the chaos. We're just tired of it. It's 10 years of this shit. It's 10 years of chaos, right? And we're no better in a position than we are today than we were 10 years ago, right? So I just want to say to all of our friends in the chat who are our regulars, thank you so much for tuning in. For our new people tuning in to find us here on Broad Banner and Sick of This Shit Publications via my friend Nick Paro, thank you so much for tuning in. Smash the hearts as much as possible. And listen, we love everybody's support. We love having you here. So I just wanted to say that we're not ending the show anytime soon. I just wanted to get that out there and to acknowledge everybody in the chat for being with us, and thank you for tuning in.
And it is not time to go postal.
No,
it is not time to do that.
The gloves don't come on.
We do not put on the shock gloves, and we do not be the perpetrators of aggressive violence.
I want to see the memes for the shock gloves. I want to see what people are going to come up with.
I really hope one of those dudes forgets to fucking take one off and just touches himself and either scratches his head or has to go pee.
I remember a story
fucking ruins his life. Like, they deserve that, but it's on them.
this is the level of what you're talking about is what happened like years ago when I was working as a paramedic in Detroit. So we had just gotten the new Life Pack 10s in the 80s. I was working as a paramedic, and we had gotten ours, and we were running ours a few weeks. And then a new private ambulance company in Detroit had just gotten theirs. So the medics were outside the hospital, and they were arcing the paddles.
Oh my God.
Just for shits and giggles. And so he actually turned the paddle the wrong direction, hit the button, and it actually zapped his partner.
Oh.
Right? So I've seen where people do stupid shit with electricity.
Well, the people who join ICE are the guys that would pee on an electric fence just to see what happened.
Forgetting that they're the ground? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
And these are the same folks that in the military are mad that you cannot have pinning ceremonies and promotion ceremonies where they say hit you or slam your pin into your body or do whatever abusive thing that they want to do. These are the same people. These are the same people. They're abusers. And so they're going to abuse their power and position in some way. And that's going to be on themselves. It's going to be on other agents. It's going to be on a child, on a migrant child who has no one there to protect them. It's going to be on a pregnant woman. God forbid they do it on a fucking pregnant woman, because these pro-lifers ain't going to come out and say, oh, but the baby, the life matters, the baby, that fetus is a life. They're going to be like, well, she shouldn't have been there.
It's funny how we've said this multiple times over the course of the last year, where good for me, bad for thee. Right? So we just like, we can't.
It's like the vaccine thing.
Yeah.
Good for them, but not for us.
Cannot trust these people with anything. If the last 11 years has not taught us anything about MAGA, is that you cannot trust these people with anything that's valuable, whether it's money, life, or security. They are literally, they're like locusts. They just kind of devour and destroy without, they're really, I mean, that's what they did. I'm sorry.
They're locusts of a gene pool management.
Locusts. Yeah, this is bad gene pool management.
Hey, maybe that won't get me kicked off TikTok.
It won't.
Is gene pool management.
Gene pool management.
But like, yes, we have lived through enough chaos.
We've been lied to so much that they've drank the Kool-Aid, snuffed the Coke, smoked the meth, and they're still here.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised thinking about that. I was thinking about this the other day. It was like, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point RFK just came out and said, you know, doing meth will help you lose weight. Or cocaine is a great stimulant, so it'll help you clean your house. Like, at some point, that's going to be what it is. Like, because drugs and fascism, like hard drugs and abusive fascists, go together.
So can I kind of start a new conversational topic? Because that's kind of where we're going here.
Yeah.
So Courtney, who I think is in the chat, hi Court, had asked me about, can we reverse engineer Project 2025? So I actually thought about this, and I'll be honest with you, I don't really think we can. You can't like reverse engineer it. It's not like reverse engineering a device or a computer. You know, the endpoint's on the shelf with Project 2025. What we can do is we can reconstruct the mechanism of execution. Okay. And it became like a de facto operating manual for the executive branch. And there's a single characteristic that everything that's happened in Project 2025, that everything that they've done has literally required not a single act of Congress. Okay. There's 532 tracked recommendations in Project 2025, and they have completed 283 of them. If that should scare the shit out of everybody. Okay.
Because we're not even halfway through.
They're not even halfway through. Okay. So really what's happening here is, so the tier one was the first tier was doing the day one executive actions. You know, that barrage of executive actions that he signed the first day. That was pretty much everything. Okay. And what you can do, and what the new incoming president should do, and these would be like my day one stuff to re-engineer this stuff, is to reinstate Schedule F of Medicare. Because remember, Trump killed that right off the bat. So what Schedule F was that if you were Schedule F, so there were two things. There was Plan F in the Medicare, but Schedule F was rehire and unregulate all the hiring freezes, all the diversity offices that were closed, the foreign aid that was frozen through USAID, the dismantling of USAID, the border enforcement. Those were already pre-drafted. So that's why they were able to land all that stuff in week one. You undo all that shit right away. Okay. You go, and we're going to need a massive hiring freeze at the government level to restaff all these agencies. So that's the first one. The second tier is the agency rulemaking, which is where they're at right now. And that takes a full cycle or 2 cycles to finalize, right? The EPA stuff, the Health and Human Services stuff, the Olmstead, the OMB stuff, anything that they've got to legally put out for rulemaking is where we can stall the hell out of them, okay? The other tier is the structural and legislative. This is where the Medicare Advantage, the default enrollment option, has stalled out, right? So, like, these are the actual healthcare goals. They want to repeal the Medicare Shared Savings Program. They literally want to steal the Medicare Trust Fund. That's what they really want to do.
Yeah, and then they're going to call it broke and say, look, we can't afford Medicare, just like they did with Social Security.
Right. So, and then the contested endpoints. So the full default enrollment into privatized Medicare and abortion restrictions and dismantling of the administrative state is under the maximalist executive power that they want to do. That's the finish line. So Congress cannot permit that to occur, which is why these elections are fucking huge. Okay? Because taking the House and the Senate will effectively stall and halt and arrest Project 2025. It will literally just kill it in its tracks. Okay? And the honest framing is that we need to basically, the whole point of it was to move quickly, to do executive action tier, moving fast, so that the legislative stuff stalls, and that all the near term, all the risk stuff is by rulemaking, not statutes. So we effectively kill this by winning elections.
Yeah.
That's how you reverse engineer Project 2025. You win the fucking general elections in November.
And you have Lawrence Winterman and I were just talking about this beforehand on my show just before, was you need to have a vision of what utopia could look like for America. Not something that we know we might ever achieve. Like, utopia is an unachievable goal. We all know that. Everybody knows that. Even people on the right understand that their version of utopia is unachievable at a point. Like, they can go so far, but it never can get. But they have
100 million people.
But they have a goal that they aim towards, and they're sold on the vision of that goal. Like Donald Trump, for all his flaws as a human being, is an actor and knew how to sell a message and knew how to sell an idea. Obama was an orator, is an orator, knew how to sell an idea, knew how to sell a message and a dream for what America should be and where we can go. And then having the plan already written down and the actions ready to go. We don't have to reverse engineer Project 2025.
Just got to stall it. Just got to kill it.
we have to kill it, and we have to have a plan in place
Yep.
with our own legislative goals already written out, with the laws already written,
And it
with
can't
the bills
be just
individually written, so
right.
that we flood the bills. You can only, and if you have a veto proof majority, you can get all those bills passed. But if you don't have a veto proof majority and you at least have a large enough majority that Republicans are going to be forced to come along with you,
That's the trick.
you can still pass all the bills and force the president to veto them. And then the bills are still able to then be passed the next time.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have the bills ready from day one so that they can be legislated on, because legislation doesn't have to grind slowly. We have been convinced that democracy has to move slowly. There's a big lie on that, I think. Huge lie. Democracy isn't a slow process.
Think about how fast things went from 1933 to 1940, and then how fast things went from 1939 to 1944 in government legislation. I mean, it accelerated.
We could do that. We have the power. Somebody said
FDR passed 6 major legislative bills that stood the test of time for over 90 years.
Yes. Legislation is a lot harder to undo. Legislation is really hard to undo, especially if you're doing legislation on single item issues and you flood the legislative zone quickly. Because things can be voted on. If you are running the House and the Senate, you have the power to bring all the bills to the floor as quickly as you want to. And they don't have to stall in chambers.
But this is where leadership matters. This is where having effective.
Not Hakeem Jeffries.
Not Jeffries, and definitely not Schumer.
Oh my God, no! Please no.
Look at the new makeup of what the Senate. Let's just say we get to 54 or 55. Okay.
Yeah.
Who do you think legitimately should be the Speaker of the House? Now, remember, it doesn't have to be anybody it doesn't have to be a member of Congress. So I'm just thinking about how pissed off, just how fucking annoying he's going to be if Kamala Harris was voted in as Speaker of the House for just 2 years. Like, it can be anybody.
It can be anybody who is constitutionally eligible to sit in the office of the president, because you have to be eligible to take the role of the president to be the Speaker of the House. People forget that one too.
I mean,
Jasmine Crockett would be a great answer.
I would have a different role for Jasmine Crockett. I would make her a U.S. attorney. Like, I would just make her a USA for the Southern District of Texas. Okay. Like, there are certain people, like, I would, like you want a pit bull attorney general, like a literal pit bull, because we need an American Nuremberg when this is done. Like, as much as they have stretched the law to whatever they're doing, we have to stretch the law on the justice side of being like, you know what? All that shit they were doing was illegal. There is no immunity. You don't get immunity when you create treason in the United States and you have killed American citizens at will without any type of prudence. Okay.
And we need to have Congress members who are willing to say the word treason.
I mean, and I think if you offered Jasmine Crockett either a special counsel position or a U.S. attorney position, she would take it in a heartbeat.
Or even attorney general.
I don't know if I'd make her attorney general.
Is she the right candidate? Maybe not.
I don't think so.
But the energy that she presents is what we need.
And I would
need that energy.
I would say, well, Jasmine, where would you like to be the happiest?
Yeah, that's a better.
Be the most effective. Where do you see yourself? Like, and I don't really see her as like somebody that wants the national spotlight all the time. Like, she's a worker bee. She's willing to put I think maybe like as a U.S. attorney, she'd be amazing. Even as maybe deputy attorney general, right? Something on that, or maybe even director of the FBI. But the thing is, you got to flood the DOJ with prosecutors again. We need all the prosecutors back, because that's who we're going to need.
And we need prosecutors and elected politicians, which we are seeing a lot of them, a lot of the primaries showcasing people who are saying they're willing to do it. Is we need elected officials and civil servants and public servants who are willing to say what is needed to be said and who are willing
Now,
to match the energy and the demands that the people are putting behind them.
yep. Now, so Survivors was saying Glenn Kirshner. Glenn has made it very clear that he would be willing to go back to federal service as an ADA, as the ASA, or whether as the U.S. Attorney for Southern District of New York, or coming in as the Attorney General or Deputy Attorney General. Like, he's already made it very clear on his podcast that he's willing to come back to federal service. And
I would love that. He would be a pit bull.
Yeah. Oh, I think he's got a laundry list of shit he would do already without,
Oh my God. But that's the thing, is it needs to be planned. Like,
yeah.
whoever, and I've said this already, is the Democratic Party should have, from day one after losing the election or after Trump was sworn in, should have started the presidential primary and made it all about them. Make it all about the Democrats.
Yeah.
And all about who's running for office. And that's what we should be doing, is even at this point, like Pete Buttigieg, if you're going to run for president, say it. Put it out there. Put it out there now. AOC, there are rumors of her being open to run versus running for Senate.
I think
whatever she's going to do, I hope she says it soon.
Yeah,
I hope she says it soon.
Just from her perspective, if I was sitting sideline, I was advising her campaign, and I was somebody that she trusted, somebody who's seen all this stuff from the outside, she's too polarizing of a political figure to run for national office. Okay? I just think she just becomes like red meat for the right. Mm-hmm. And I think that she could command a lot more power in Washington over the length of her career that she wants to be in politics as a senior senator from New York State.
Yeah.
She could be on the appropriations committee. She could be on whatever committee that she wants to be on, right? Like, I think when you're looking at where you could fit for a 10, 15, 20-year run in politics, okay, putting yourself out there to run for the presidency of the United States, it just, I think for somebody like AOC, with where she sat in her earlier years as a member of the squad, and then even though everybody forgets she's been in Congress 10 years already. Like, she's a veteran congresswoman already.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
she's good at her job.
And she's good at what she does. So do it as a senator representing the people of the state of New York, which is where her wheelhouse is. Dar had put something in there about like Katie Fang. I think Katie also she's got young children. I think give her the opportunity to decide what she wants to do. You know, offer her the Southern District USA Attorney position in Miami or Florida, right? But also work in conjunction with, say, if David Jolly wins the governor of Florida and Vindman becomes the sitting U.S. senator, right? Work with the DNC in Florida. Work with Nikki Fried as the chair of the state of Florida for the Democratic Party, where we need the best people for the moment. Because really, this is where I live. There's a shit. Like, the court system's not working hard enough down here. Like, I mean, like literally, you have 30 plus years of Republican appointed judges sitting in Florida.
And we should also have a very well-defined, and this is where coyness and political gamesmanship need to stop.
Yep.
Is we need to start the presidential election or start the presidential primary process and campaigning 8 months ago. Well, we needed to start it in January or a year ago. We needed to start it then. But we can start it now. And we also need to start listing out and having people who are open and ready for it for the Supreme Court.
We keep talking about the tent, Nick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the tent right now? The tent are pretty much everybody who's a registered Democrat and disaffected independents. That is 65% of the country. Okay? The people that are on the far right, that 35%, they're gone. You're not getting them back. Okay? So the tent has to be to serve the 65% of the country that wants a change, that demands a change, that wants to see effective government, that wants to see us getting out of these forever wars, that wants financial security, that wants people getting stopped shooting people in the street, get control of the financial system, get control of the fraud and the crime and the mafia that's been in the White House for the last 2 years. Okay. Stop the AI tech center bro techie bullshit that's going on. Legislate legitimate, real regulations that stop hurting the American people. Right. And I think that's where most people sit. They're sitting in the bubble of the bell curve where they're here. Okay. Not out here on the fringes, but out here. This is where most people live. Most people live left center, center, right center, and they flow back and forth depending on the issue. Okay. These fringe politics shit needs to stop. And you serve it. And that's what governing's about. Governing's about making the choices that service the most amount of people at one given time. You're not going to make everybody happy, but you need to govern from within and govern with responsibility.
We need people who are willing to try, who are willing to put bills on the floor, whether they're winnable or passable or not. They need to put them out there. They need to put, if you're not even using the power that you're elected to have, then you shouldn't be there. And it's not an abuse of power to use your legislative power to hold trials of treason, to hold impeachment inquiries and hearings, to hold oversight, to pass laws, to impeach Supreme Court members for blatantly violating ethical oaths and responsibility and the law.
I'd be bringing him into the White House day one and saying, would you like to resign or do you want to face criminal charges for bribery?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I just don't even have a conversation with Alito. Like, you literally drag his ass into the Oval Office. And that's why, and this is where it brings me back to my original statement of why we need 52 seats in the Senate. Because if they retain the Senate, one vote, Alito and Thomas are going to be replaced with 2 more judges. They're going to sit on that bench for another 25 years, and we are screwed blue.
Which is why we need Supreme Court justice nominations already ready. Bingo. And in the public of who these people are going to be, because I want to know. I want to know who our next Supreme Court justices are going to be before they sit down to a hearing where we hear about how Brett Kavanaugh had fucking keg ragers and used to beat people. Like, we shouldn't be hearing about that in the Senate first. We should have been hearing about that beforehand because these people should not be secrets. Politicians need to start using their damn power because the system that we live in is harmful. It is hurting people. It is meant to harm people. And it's meant to propagandize against each other. Because I bet you if you actually got down to the root issues that everyone around you is facing, they're all the same issues. Oh, yeah. Bigotry and hatred.
Florida or Washington or Michigan or Arkansas or New York State, we are all facing the same problems.
You know what we're facing right now? Gas prices are through the roof.
And food shortage.
Food shortages. Food is not safe to eat.
Nope.
You don't know if your food is safe.
Who likes explosive diarrhea for dinner?
And it's too expensive to buy. Everything is too expensive. We need, in essence, job interviews for government positions such as the Supreme Court before they reach the Senate for their candidacies and things like that. But we need the power, and you need to use the power that is within your constitutional purview to do your job, because we need to stop telling people that it is courageous for a politician to do the basic part of their job. It is not courageous for a politician to put out legislation.
And I think
It is courageous if they were to stand up to a tyrannical government and they were to put their bodies and lives on the line like some of them have. But doing the basic parts of your job of holding people accountable isn't courage.
Yep.
It's just the basic part of your job.
I mean, and I might catch a little bit of flack for saying this. I'm going to say it anyway. There is nothing wrong with the incoming administration bringing in the Dow 30 CEOs, okay, and some of the NASDAQ CEOs, and having this and having a conference saying, listen, guys, you are sitting on this much money. You're sitting on this much money, okay? What's it going to take for you guys to understand that we're either going to legislate you out of that profiteering, or you're going to start giving the money back voluntarily?
Just like we did at the end of the golden age to the robber barons.
What's it going to be, guys? Because you've made record profits, okay? Now, I could have the DOJ start hauling all you guys in and start looking at your books, okay? And we can talk about money laundering and RICO, or you can start acting more responsibly as a corporation. And you can start hiring again. You don't need 1,000% profit margins. You guys were doing just fine when you were making 15, 20% profit. Okay? Like, you can start having these real conversations with CEOs, not threatening them, but say, listen, we want you guys to partner with us as the federal government because we are going to make your life better. We're going to get you more. We're going to get you more customers. We're going to open up. We're going to cut all the tariff bullshit. We're going to open up our trade again with our northern neighbors and our neighbors in Europe and our friends around the world. And we're going to do what we have to do with our enemies. And we're going to, we'll deal with China again. But what's it going to take? And I want you to draw the line right here with me right now, so I know who I'm dealing with. If you can't work with my administration, then you think being an enemy of the state was fun when it was a Republican president? Wait till I get my DOJ on you. Whatever profit.
Because we're going to actually uphold the law.
Yeah, right.
And if the law is not strong enough, guess what? Congress is there for, to make better laws.
I'll regulate the shit out of your industry. I'll make it so that you're going to spend so much money on regulatory guidance that your profit margin is going to go down, and then I'll forbid you from raising prices. I'll lock your industry into no more price gouging. You can't pass anything on. You're going to have to fix your prices for 5 years, and I'll legislate that, and I'll do it industry wide. So it's not just you, but because maybe the 4 other partners in your industry agreed to work with us, but you're the one that's a holdout, I'm going to punish everybody. Like, it's kind of like not being authoritarian, but it's kind of saying, listen, either start being fair or we'll show you how unfair things can get.
Yeah. It's using pressure and levers of government to the way that they're supposed to be used.
It's a bully pulpit.
It's upholding the law and not weaponizing it. Again, lawyers too. Upholding the basics of the law is not weaponization of the law. It's just upholding the law. Anyway.
I gotta get going here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we gotta get going.
I had a couple weeks to make up because I hadn't been around for a couple weeks. So
it's time. It's time for us to head out for the day. It is time for y'all to get our promotions and for us to promote the work we do. Eric, I'll start with you, my friend.
Oh, I can't do my water bottle time, man.
Not yet.
No water bottle time. Hi, everybody. Again, thank you, Jason Gale, for the wonderful caricature. You can find me on Substack at Dr. Eric Lullove. There's the QR code. Follow me. Subscribe if you feel like it. I usually don't have a high paywall for anything. If you want to subscribe to me, the funds go into a fund that I use to fund other creators. So I match the fund. So I only have a $30 annual. It's an I think it's either $5 or $8 a month, or whatever it is. It's really minimal. Money does not go to me. It goes to other people. And you can follow me on Blue Ant Media. I do have another piece that just published on the Medicare fee schedule on Sunday on how it affects patients. My next piece that's going to get published is going to be on the Hope Foundation $10 million fund that somehow went to Casey and Ron DeSantis. That was an ACA overpayment by Centene. And the reason why I'm publishing is because Ashley Moody was the attorney general in Florida at the time that she signed off on the settlement, and she won't release the grand jury. She won't release the grand jury testimony on the investigation.
So it doesn't sound shady or anything.
No, it's not shady at all. And it's a whole cabal of this University of Florida group of attorneys that was, it was Pam Bondi and James Ohlmeyer, who's the current attorney general, and Ashley Moody, who's the current U.S. senator that was appointed, not elected, by the way. She took over Marco Rubio's position. So this is a whole little Florida cabal thing that's always been going on here. But that's the next one that's coming out, everybody. Again, you can find me on Blue Net Media. Find me here at Sick of This Shit Productions with Nick on Thursdays at 12:30. And I'll turn it over to my buddy who's sitting to my north, literally north.
Not too far north. Just suck less and come hang out here at Sick of This Shit Publications with me, with Eric, with my friends on Mondays. I use mine all the time. It's on my nightstand right now.
Mine's empty. I had to empty it so I could flip it for the show. So.
I normally drink like 2 or 3 of them a day. I try to drink 2 or 3 of them a day just to stay well hydrated.
This is my one vice of the day. So
come support Sick of This Shit Publications if you can. If you are able to be a paid subscriber, that would be really amazing. The paid really help continue this work that is going on, and helps me expand. I'm in discussions with a friend for another either video or audio series that we're going to be doing around humaning and linguistics and chronicling the journey of like mental health and trauma changes. And so your support will help me be able to put that together, get better resources, new microphone, backdrops, things like that. That'll help make these professionalized in new ways. But it also helps support the growth of Broadbanner and the tooling that we're doing there to expand creator access and creator discoverability and creator content distribution and the ability for folks to manage action campaigns and develop their own tools to pressure Congress and to pressure their legislators and to do the hard work. So please, if you can, become a paid subscriber here. If not, become a free subscriber. Become and share and restack and share all of the work if you can. Smash that heart one more time before we go. And everyone, thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you for being with me and Doc Eric. This has been another Diogenes Club here on Sick of This Shit Publications. We're done being sick of this shit, y'all. So now we're doing this shit. Go have a great day.
Everybody have a great day.